Well, Houston, we have a problem. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. In today's video, we're going to continue the 97 Sunbird Coral boat restoration series. So if you haven't caught the first two videos, this will be the third video in the series. The first one was just kind of a general overview of the boat, what all work we're going to have to do to it, getting started cleaning and waxing the hull and working on the cleaning process. Second video was hooking power to the motor and seeing if it would turn over, what kind of lights and information we got on the dash, if any of that stuff would work. Compression checking the 6 cylinders and all of that. Won't go into too much detail here about that. I'll leave all the links down below if you want to check out those two beginner videos to the series. And then again, this will be the third series where we actually try to see if we can get this thing started today. So we got a few little small things we got to figure out and work on. I'll show you those now, and then we'll hook the battery back to it. Hopefully see if we can get this thing to fire up. But if you're new here to the channel, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it a ton. We do all kinds of stuff. We work on vehicles. We're working on boats now. We do travel videos, hobby videos, drone videos, all kinds of sorts of stuff that you might find interesting and want to follow along with. If you've got any questions about the boat in general or anything at all, make sure you leave them down below and I'll try to answer everything I can. Leave a thumbs up if you found the video helpful or entertaining whatsoever, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Let's get to it. So first things first, this particular boat and engine has an oil injection system on it. I briefly kind of touched on this in one of the earlier videos, but we're going to try to see if we can get this thing out and cleaned, emptied. I think it has over 27-year-old oil in it. So there's no telling what kind of shape that's in, what kind of water condensation, contaminations in it. So I can just pump the bulb that's on the line there and it will come out the end over here at the engine. But I don't want to just empty it that way. I want to actually take it out, empty it, clean it, make sure everything looks good, and then put it back in and fill it up with fresh oil. So that's step one. Step two, we got a bit of an issue over here where this fuel and oil connector line goes in. So you can see I've taken the fuel line loose already. It's right here. And so it goes on this piece here, but if you notice, this piece up top is broken. And this piece, lovely, is discontinued. So you can't buy these anymore, can't find them anywhere. So I've got to take this apart. We'll take the cover off, take this lower cover apart. It's supposed to come off in 2 pieces. Take all this apart, get this out, see what I can do to kind of rig this up, at least temporarily, so I can get some oil to it and the fuel to it like it's supposed to be, so we can try to fire this thing up. You can see there's the line right here, right there, with the broken snapped off piece still in it for the oil. So we've got to fish this back through, get it all out, cleaned up, get this apart, see what we can do to hook it all up, and then see if we can fire this thing up. I'm also going to bypass the internal fuel tank. It's underneath the floor. I'm not even sure at this point if I can even access it. I'll show you a quick shot of the floor inside. Yeah, so again, I don't want to get in too much detail in this video about the interior and all the stuff we got to do there. It's going to be a monumental task, but the gas tank is underneath this floor in here, and I'm not even sure if you can get to it, if the floor is removable, if it's on a hinge. I don't know anything about it. I didn't want to even approach that issue yet until we saw if this motor was in any sort of shape to pursue or proceed with this project. So I'm not going to get bogged down with the internal fuel tank. We're just going to pre-mix some oil and gas in an external tank hooked to the motor, get this oil injection system working, hopefully, and then go from there, instead of even bogging down and getting all involved with that internal tank. This oil injection has a cap on it where the line and the power, maybe not the power, the level gauge goes into it. It's got a Torx bit TT25 fitting on it, so I'm gonna pop this off, see what's underneath it, see if we can disconnect it here, and then hoping these clamps on the side are just spring loaded. And so we should be able to just pull this up and off on either side and pull this box out, is my hope anyway. Okay, with the 4 bolts removed, you can pick this thing up, and it's the whole pump, sending unit, gasket, everything in there. Oh, if I actually would center on it correctly. So that's the whole system. Looks like it sits right there on the floor, the pickup, everything. So interesting. So now we should be able to pop this tank out. Need to be real careful with this piece here that I don't get it damaged or messed up, or that might be hard to find or deal with. And there's our oil box, or oil injection box, removed. It's just those 2 spring-loaded handles. It's got a metal frame underneath it. And then there's our sending unit right there. Oil pickup line and everything. I wanted to replace the entire pickup line or tubing with the pump. I've got a new one, but I may have to cut it off and put the new one on it and then send it over there, because this looks like it's kind of made into it a little bit more than I thought originally. So I think everything's fine with it, but we'll approach that next. But got this out, just got to get it emptied, flushed out, and then we'll be good with this part of it. All right, we got it out, got it drained, taken apart, and there's some good old 20-plus-year-old gunk in the bottom. Not too bad actually, but it does have some stuff in it, so we're gonna get it all washed out, cleaned up completely. See, make sure there's no leaks in it. I don't see why there would be, but make sure there's no leaks, and then put it back in the boat. So we got our cover, or our lower cover, split apart. There's a 10mm bolt that goes in the top, one in the bottom down here as well, right there you can see. And then it's kind of hard to see, but there's one up under there that's filthy, and one also in the front somewhere right there that's pretty filthy. And then I just split these apart. I don't want to take it all loose right now because there's a lot of stuff connected to them, the power trim back here. I just got to get this out, and it looks like there's another 10mm bolt holding this contraption in here, and then there's the oil injection line, and below it's the fuel line. So got to get that bolt out, get this out, and then there's a screw on the back side that'll take this whole thing out. So then I'll be able to get some measurements and figure out how I'm gonna replace this. And here's what we're left with. We've got this broken plastic piece. So this is the part that's discontinued that you can't find anymore. And you can see the end of it that's broke off in the line right here that we got to figure out how to fix. So I've got that off. There was just a screw in the side that screwed into here and right into the side of the outer cowling. So we'll pop these little clips off, take this out, see what I can come up with, just to make this connection from this oil line out to where the main pickup line will be. And here's our piece completely out finally. So you can see the fuel line and the oil line there going to the motor, all that's taken apart. And here is the piece with the broken end on it that all of this trouble was for. So all we got to do is figure out how to replicate this, put this back together, hook our lines up, and then we should be ready to go. Well, Houston, we have a problem. It's actually a few days later from when I filmed the original content that you've been watching so far. If you've stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Anyway, we can't keep the motor running, or we can't get the motor to stay running. So we've done a few things. I've done some research and whatnot, and I'll kind of go over with you what the issues are that we're having so far. We've got a couple of different things that's going on that we got to check into and figure out. So number one is there's no water coming through the engine. So the little telltale trails out the back, the P trail or whatnot, there is not a drop of water coming through here. So one of two things. that something's clogged up, which I don't think it is, because when we do crank the motor and we get it running, there is smoke coming through here. So yes, it could be clogged up somewhere down below, but I don't think there's any clogs up top, because some smoke and fumes do come out of here. Now it still could be clogged, but I think the more likely issue is probably the impeller motor in the foot down there, or the impeller fan or whatnot. So I think I'm going to have to drop the foot off of this and check it out. You know, again, if you haven't seen the first ones or been paying attention, it's 20 something years old. Those things are plastic. It could have deteriorated. It might not be spinning. It might be seized up. I'm not sure, but we probably need to check it and drop that and see what's going on and order a new one. I'm not going to order it just yet until I do just take it apart, take a look at it, see what it looks like, see if that's our problem. I'm trying to stay as cheap as possible on all of the parts and not just throw money at this, because it's going to be a project in itself to get everything together. So I don't want to just buy stuff and then take it apart and find out that I didn't need it. So we're going to check that. One of the other issues is that the fuel primer system. So the primer system, it's like a choke, or if it's cold and you want to do a cold start or whatever, you can push the key in on the ignition and it'll prime the cylinders with fuel. Well, the little piece that's on there, and I'll get in the boat and show you closer so you can see it firsthand, it's cracked and fuel's just shooting out of the hole. So that's probably not good. We need to fix that. So I've actually already ordered that piece because I know it's broke. I know I've got to replace it. So I'll show you that in the next video. Once it comes in, we'll continue with the process. But that's the second issue. Third issue is I don't want to try to run it too long. One, holding the key, shooting fuel everywhere, and two, no water running through the system and cooling anything. But the motor won't stay running, and so I'm thinking we probably have some gummed up or clogged carbs on the motor. And so I kind of figured that would end up being the case. I was hoping it wasn't, but I think that's probably what's going on with it. So we got to do a few things first. We got to get some water going through the system. We got to get that fuel primer solenoid fixed so it's not spewing fuel everywhere. Then we can start trying to address and clean the carbs. I think if I could get it running and stay running a little bit longer, I could introduce some seafoam into the system, and it might have a chance to clean some of those carbs out and keep it running. But we got to get a few things addressed first, then we'll get to that. So really quickly, I'll show you a few things that we got going on. We just pre-mixed the gas right now, and I've got it's a 3/8 inch fuel line, and it's a 1/4 inch oil line that goes into this thing. Now, if you saw the first part of the video, I had to take this section apart because of that broken piece. And what we did is I just bought some brass fuel fittings off of Amazon, and so got some 1/4 inch fuel fittings to connect this oil line, and we got 3/8 fuel fittings to connect the gas line. All new primer bulbs, everything. I've just got this one protected right now with the seat cover. We've got the oil injection system all cleaned out. Everything's back together. And all of that seems to be working fine. So for right now, we've just got this temporarily hooked up so we can get all the stuff to it and get it running, and then we'll get it all buttoned up like it's supposed to. I can use the stock black plastic piece that was in here and just connect these lines to it, and everything will be just fine for that. So kind of got that figured out, and I think we're good to go there. But let me climb inside and I'll show you that fuel solenoid issue. All right, so here's a close-up on this fuel solenoid. So this cap will come off, and there's like a Schrader valve or a bicycle valve, tire valve right in here that you can introduce fogging and cleaning agents and whatnot in it. Well, if you notice right here on the left side, it's cracked right there, and it's just spewing gas everywhere. You can actually see some of the leftover fuel in the bottom that I've got to clean up once we get all this back together. But yeah, it just spews fuel out of this. So we can take this cap off. It's just got 4 screws in the top. Might have to take it out or take some of these hoses out the way to get to it, but we can replace that. I've already got it on order, so we can at least get that issue fixed and then move on to the rest of the issues that we've got. So that's where we are right now. When I was absolutely amazed. We got the marine battery fully charged, hooked it to the motor, touched the key to it, primed it, and boom, the thing fired instantly. After sitting for 20 something years, I was amazed that it fired up. Of course, it's going to smoke like crazy. We've got the oil injection system adding oil to it. We've got the pre-mixed 50-to-1, so it's got a lot of oil in it. So we want to make sure everything's protected. So it's going to smoke like crazy, but I was shocked that it fired up and ran right off the bat. It just, you know, clicked and boom, fired right up. So that's a good sign. But now we've got to address these other smaller issues, get everything else buttoned up, then see if we got a carb clogged or an issue with some of the carbs or whatnot, so it'll stay running. But yeah, so I just wanted to do a quick video update. So if any of you guys had followed along or subscribed from the previous ones, you might be wondering what's going on with the motor, if it was junk, if it was working, whatnot. So I think we're still in good shape. We just, of course, have to do a few more things. I didn't think we were going to get lucky on everything, but it is firing up, it is running. We just got to do some more maintenance. So if you want to stick around and follow, please subscribe. I'd love it if you do so. And we're doing other stuff on the channel with the vehicles and travel videos, hobbies and whatnot. But leave a thumbs up if you'd like to. And then if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions about, you know, the engine running or not staying running or what I should look at, please leave them down below. I'm new to a lot of this stuff, so any of the suggestions and whatnot, again, if you've seen the other ones, other than set it on fire and roll it down a hill, I'd appreciate it. You know, any tips or suggestions, much appreciated. So again, appreciate you watching the video. Subscribe if you'd like to, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks again. Bye.